Right now on the 6, new details tonight on this deadly crash that killed a father of 5 in Montgomery County. Police say a 13-year-old was behind the wheel of the stolen car involved.
And we also know that 6 other kids were inside when the fatal collision happened early yesterday morning in Germantown. Fox 5's Bob Barnard is near the victim's home in Berryville, Virginia.
This community 60 miles west of D.C. is reeling. One of their own was killed in a horrific crash in Montgomery County on Tuesday, involving a stolen car driven by a 13-year-old with 7 kids in that car altogether, ages 12 to 15, and no adults. It was a devastating collision. A Toyota Matrix crushed at the intersection of Clopper Road and Great Seneca Highway in Germantown, 5:30 yesterday morning. The driver, Vance Payne, was killed. He was 58, a married father of 5, on his way to work as a mechanical engineer at NIST in Gaithersburg. It was an hour-long commute from his home here in Clark County, Virginia. And while his family is requesting privacy, in Berryville, people are speaking out about the awful circumstances of Vance Payne's death and the community's reaction.
It's just heartbreaking. You know, it's so tragic, especially a family like that with young children involved, and they're very involved in the community.
Having teens just joyriding, you hear about it more and more often, more than we should be. I feel like the youth today sometimes just don't have the outlets that they need to, not making excuses for them, because obviously this is not something to have an excuse for, but it could have been avoided for sure.
Montgomery County Police telling us more about the crash. They say the stolen Kia Optima was northbound on Great Seneca Highway. Vance Payne was eastbound on Clopper Road at the time of the collision. Police say 4 girls and 3 boys were in the car that was stolen in Germantown. The driver was a 13-year-old boy. The 6 passengers were ages 15, 14, 13, and 12. Critics of Maryland's new juvenile justice reform say the kids will likely get a pass for their misbehavior.
People who live in Maryland should immediately call their lawmakers and tell them that they must change course before another person is tragically killed by juveniles who will get a slap on the wrist.
At last check, all 7 of the young people in the other car were hospitalized, 2 of them critically, including that 13-year-old driver. In terms of what kind of penalties they'll face, because they're juveniles, police and prosecutors are limited in what they can say.
The bus driver charged in a deadly I-95 crash in Stafford County was released on bond. Attorneys for Jing Dong say that he was released this afternoon and is now with his wife. Dong is from New York, but is now staying at a home in Northern Virginia as a condition of his bail. He is charged with 5 counts of involuntary manslaughter. The May crash killed 5 people and injured dozens more. And now police in Prince William County, they are asking anybody with pictures or video of a deadly shooting at a Woodbridge car meetup to come forward. A 16-year-old was killed at that rally along Crossing Place. This was on Saturday. It was one of 3 illegal car meetups in our area over the weekend. Anyone with information, you can call or leave a tip on the department's website.
All right, let's get the latest on this hot and humid day. It is still summer. Live look now for our Fox 5 Sky Cam. You know, Angie, Caitlin Roth, as I was driving into work today, it was nice. I enjoy seeing those big, puffy, white cumulus clouds. They were really
big puff balls, accumulating.
Yeah.
Felt like you could touch them.
Wait, are you trying to bring Science Corner back?
Is this Science Corner now?
Yeah, you're coming into my Science Corner.
Yeah, run by Angie on most days. But cumulating is a verb form that I have not heard yet, and I kind of like it.
Yeah. It's kind of like percolating, right?
Yeah, it is.
You know, anyways.
Which those clouds tend to do when something's brewing, but we're kind of moving away from the brewing. We're more clearing out.
I know, I like it. It feels good.
I know.
I've been listening to your forecast throughout the afternoon. You keep talking about Bermuda. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it feels like outside.
Yeah, I want to go. I know, exactly.
Yeah.
We get high pressure from Bermuda. It would be nice to be in Bermuda, but when high pressure is over Bermuda, it brings us this pattern, hot, humid, and unsettled. And it's a very common summer pattern. We just oddly haven't done that much of it this summer because the month of July, kind of wild. We had 2 very different setups for each half of the month and haven't seen yet a pattern as consistent as we're about to prophecy, Groundhog Day, think 90s, humidity, late day storm, repeat. Today got us started with that early morning rain, ½ inch at Reagan National. Nice, healthy rainfall to add to our already robust totals. 5 days into the month of August, we're up to 2.24 inches. 89 was that high temperature. And as we take a live look out at D.C. with our Earth Cam, bright blue, beautiful sky with just a few puffballs left. Really some thinning of that cloud cover as we get into a nice clearing pocket. But it is warm and steamy. 89 and feels like 97 at Reagan. 87 feels like 95 at Dulles, and 88 feels like 96 at BWI. Warm front lifting north of us, taking those showers and storms with it. So we should be quiet for the rest of tonight, save for a very isolated shower or storm. Tomorrow, sunny, hot, and humid with those highs. We're stretching into the 90s, and another heat wave will begin. This one looking long-lived. As you can see in the temperature trend, plenty of 90-degree days. We'll talk about those daily thunderstorm chances, show you your future cast coming up in the full 7-day. Back to you.
All right, Caitlin, thank you. The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office may soon have to end its agreement with ICE. A new Virginia state law is now in effect. Last August, the Sheriff's Office agreed to hold immigrants arrested for criminal charges for up to 2 days after their release date so ICE could pick them up. But that new state law has given ICE and other federal immigration agencies until September 1st to submit new agreements on immigration operations to state and local law enforcement. We do apologize for that video you saw. We do believe that was the wrong video we were showing you. Immigrant rights groups say it is long overdue.
When this agreement was signed, an organic protest just happened in front of the sheriff's office where so many Loudoun County residents, constituents, his constituents, turned out to let him know how upset they were he had entered into this agreement. We are hopeful that the sheriff will reevaluate his relationship with ICE as well as his deputies.
This year alone, the Sheriff's Office says ICE has picked up more than 200 immigrants. Now to a Fox 5 exclusive. We are now hearing from the Department of Justice as it sues Montgomery County over its new gun control legislation. It's just the latest lawsuit hitting the county, already grappling with a budget shortfall. Fox 5's chief legal correspondent Katie Barlow live in the newsroom tonight with the latest. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Kenneth. On Monday, the Civil Rights Division filed a federal lawsuit against Montgomery County, arguing that the new gun law that restricts ghost guns and creates a 100-yard buffer zone in many public places is unconstitutional. That's one of 3 lawsuits now that have been filed in the 10 days since Mark Elrich signed it into law.
Well, what Montgomery County has done with this new law is effectively put most of the county off limits for law-abiding citizens seeking to carry their firearms, even where the business owner or the deacons of the church or elders of the synagogue or what have you actually welcome people having those arms. And, you know, we initially started looking at this from the church perspective because we've seen in the Civil Rights Division the extent to which Americans have been so vulnerable in recent years in their houses of worship.
DOJ argues that Montgomery County cannot justify the law under the Supreme Court's recent Second Amendment decisions that require local governments like Montgomery County to find a law from the founding that is analogous to the modern law they want to pass. In particular, DOJ calls out Montgomery County's ban on guns in places of worship. They argue that not only did the founders never ban guns from places of worship, indeed, just the opposite is true, they say in the lawsuit. The nation has no tradition of banning firearms in places of worship. Gun rights group Maryland Shall Issue's Mark Pennack warned the county that he would file a lawsuit as soon as it was signed. Pennack recently won a major Second Amendment case at the United States Supreme Court, so there was a near guarantee that the county would have to spend tax dollars defending the law. Now it has to do so in 3 separate suits. Outgoing county executive Mark Elrich and frontrunner to replace him, Will Jawando, both say that fight is worth it.
Nobody likes spending money unnecessarily, but we're not going to know whether it's unnecessary until we play this out in court. I mean, our job is to try to protect people, and gun legislation is important in accomplishing that. And I would rather fight and then surrender when I have to surrender if there's a court decision than to prematurely surrender.
Silver Spring Jewish Center filed the 3rd lawsuit against the county, arguing that the ban on guns in places of worship restricts their ability to practice their religion and therefore also violates the First Amendment's guarantee to freely worship.
Thank you, Katie. Well, today, a federal judge dismissed a conspiracy case against members of the Oath Keepers for their role in the January 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol. The judge said today his hands were tied after the Justice Department requested the case not go forward. Earlier this year, the DOJ moved to vacate the convictions of members of the far-right group who had their sentences commuted but were not pardoned by President Trump.